Hello, let's audio check. Um, I get a message from YouTube saying the upstream is not that great, so let's hope we can actually do this. Just awaiting as usual for confirmation from the chat that everything is working. Okay, video good, sound good. Okay, let's move on. Right, so let's start for today. I think it's gonna be a coding thing today, but hopefully not too long. A couple of things I want to say first. Something regarding the guys that are doing the mod, and I was looking into some mod car that became part of our testing routine, which is the Mazda Miata, and I happened to find into the car ini. Now I fixed that there was something else here in the version, and I also saw it in some other files sometimes, and it's important that you guys understand that this version number is not the version of the car. Is actually the version of the file format for this particular carini. So what is happening in Assetto Corsa is that if we change something like one parameter, we add some parameters, or we delete some parameters because the game is able to actually calculate the parameter itself. What we do is we use this version to say, okay, so this is version 2, so the software knows that it can expect a certain parameter to be there. And at the same time, if it's version 1, the software is still able to cope with the fact that the parameter is not there, and it gives to the parameter some sort of default value. So that's the main reason why all these every time you see version, that's the reason why it's there, is to allow us to change the format of that file and hopefully keeping the backward compatibility. If you're starting to put things like 0.1, 0.2, the software will probably read 0 here, and if the software is relying on some information that are here, probably it will not read it because it will not understand that those information are there, because say, oh, okay, this is not version 2 that I'm expecting, so I'm not going to read this value, I'm just going to ignore these values. So don't use it for that, it's not for that. Something else that I also touched briefly some other times is this parameter warning as errors. Now, of course, as users, you just don't need to care about this one, because when we ship Assetto Corsa on Steam, this value is 0. So, and that's how it should be if you are not developing mods. But if you are developing something, it's very important that your warning as error is set to 1. And the reason is that with this one, the software is running a series of checks on what's going on with the stuff that is loading. And especially if something is expected to be there and is not there, the software will crash and give you an information on the log. So let's see how we can use something like this. Let's say, for example, again, on the Miata, let's say, for example, that I do a typo, and instead of total mass, I write total underscore mass. Fine? Okay, so now if I have warning as, in this case, if I have, what is the file? If I have this 0, the software will load up, and this car will end up with 0 mass. So the software will crash anyway, but you will have absolutely no clue why it crashed, because it's nowhere is going to tell you, well, it's because mass is 0. But if you have warning as errors, and you try to start this one, So the software is going to crash on you. Bang. So the software crashed. And how I discovered what's going on, I opened the log, and in the log there's going to be this section that is mostly used by us programmers, knowing in which part of the code, source code, it crashes. But the important message is the one right before crash in, which is usually telling you exactly what's the problem. And the problem here is say, oh, you know, in this file, content cars, Mazda, Miata, data, car.ini, key not found. I cannot find this total mass. So you go there and say, hold on, you know, why you cannot find total mass? It's there. And then you realize, oh, because, you know, I didn't do this, right? So you put this in and everything will load up okay. So that's how you troubleshoot. Something else that I've seen very often in mod tracks that don't run this is a problem with Surface. Now, the way Surface, the Surface system works is that, let me open a Surface. So we have two Surface file. We have a Surface dedicated for the track and a Surface that is a general Surface. Now, the way it works, when this is saying something like key concrete, what it's saying is that it's going to apply this surface to whatever object in the track that has got this string, concrete, in the name. Now, let's make this, I've seen this many times. Let's say, for example, that we have a situation where we have one surface that has got curb, and one surface that has got concrete. Now, let's say that we have a track that has got an object called, like, you know, 10 concrete curb, right? So this is an error. Why it's an error? Because the software got like, okay, what is it, concrete or curb? It doesn't know which surface you want to put there because it's actually a match for more than one surface. So if you got the warning as error 1, the software will tell you, hold on, there is a problem here. I don't know what to do with this. And same thing if you have something like, what is the file? Let's say you thought like, this is fine, okay, but then you wrote this, okay, or you wrote this, and you thought it's okay, and with warning as error, God knows what will happen with this one because the software doesn't match any surface there. So I don't remember now on the top of my head what the software is doing. If it's giving you a sort of default surface or if it's giving you garbage or whatever. But the main point is that if you got this on, it will tell you, no, what is this? I cannot match this with any surface. And it will tell you in the log, so you go look where the crash is, just over the crash in line, there's going to be an information that is directed to you, to the developer of the mod, and it's telling you exactly what the problem is. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Let's move on to quickly to some new stuff that has been added to the software, which is this loading int. If you watch Sunday stream, you saw that my idea was to do something like this. Now, this is gonna be. Let me grab a screenshot so I can. So you saw that there was the information there with some lines. So let's see if we can manage to see it better and to understand what it's actually doing. Okay, so that's what's saying about this car. So it's telling you, okay, so it's got a manually operated DRS. So use the assign control to activate it. So I know that this car has got a DRS. Then it's got a cockpit operated brake balance, so I can change the brake balance in the cockpit. That's also interesting. Many people I saw on the forum, they get, you know, caught by this one because they say, oh, I disabled auto blip in the, oh, sorry, this is this one, is electronic kicker. Does it say I disabled the auto blip, but it's still there? Well, the reason is there are some cars that actually have this system, which is, sometimes they call it the kicker. So when you downshift, it's blipping your gas. So even if you have auto blip off, you know, that car has that electronic system, so it's going to do the auto blip for you. And with this loading screen, this information is now delivered, you know. You know that this car has got this thing. Same thing for the automatic cutoff. So you know that the engine is automatically cutting the gas off when you're upshifting, so you don't need to release the gas. So very small things, but you know, they can really change the experience, because you are communicated information that you would otherwise lose. Like for example, there are cars that tell you, oh, it's got a turbo, so you can adjust the turbo, and so on. And probably these information are going to also end up either in the starting screen or in the setup of the car. So I still have to decide, but probably exactly the same strings. At the end, it's not that we have like, you know, 30 cases. It's like, you know, 6 or 7 situations that are important to communicate to the user. So shouldn't be a problem to find a space to put this one in. So yeah, so that's how this thing is moving. Let's move on to the coding for today. Okay, no, something else before I forgot. The downshift protection. This is something that should have been in the software for a long time, but wasn't. And what's the downshift protection is exactly what it says in the name. So when you have most cars with semi-automatic gearboxes have this system where if you are going at a certain speed and you try to downshift, it will refuse to downshift. There I tried to downshift into first, and it didn't go into first, because if it did go into first, the engine will be over the limiter. So the real car will actually refuse to downshift if your speed doesn't really match, and your engine would get a damage from that downshift. Something else it does, it doesn't let you go down to neutral. I'm asking for the neutral now, and it's not giving to me. So unless I stop the car, and then now I can put it into neutral. Okay, so that's something else that I added. For the time being, what is happening is that this is automatically applied to all the cars that have semi-automatic, and then I will add a dedicated or a bump version. There you go. Let's say, what will happen if I have to do something like this? So I have two choices. One choice will be to get. Let's get into a car. Okay, so data. So it's gonna be in the driving train, right? So one choice will be to say, okay, so here I can put something like, you know, has downshift protection. Okay, so, and I can say 1, okay, it's got this downshift protection. But what is the problem now? Now, if I write into the software to go and catch this value, it will basically crash for every car that don't have this value. So this is not a huge problem for us, because we can take all our cars and update all of them because we know this. But then if we release Assetto Corsa outside, this, of course on Steam it will not crash, but you know, this is simple 0-1. So it's what is happening is that unless the modder goes there and put a real value, you just get the default, and it's not guaranteed that the default is going to be a good one. It's much better, for example, right now is matching whatever is saying here in support shifter. So if support shifter is 0, that means that car is a semi-automatic. So it has much more sense to say, well, if it is a semi-automatic, then it's very good chance that it's got a downshift protection. So if I go this route, the way would be to say, fine, put something here that goes, you know, header, and it says version 2. If there was no header. If there was already a version, you just bump the version, and at that point the software say, this is a version 3, so it's got an explicit information about the downshift protection. So that's exactly, you know, one case that it will turn into a case for the use of that version. And that's why it's important not to put numbers that are there just to be there. Of course, another way to do this, because the software can actually check if a section is there before using it. Something else that I do sometimes is to say, well, okay, let's do something like, you know, downshift protection. Okay, and then, you know, enable 1, and usually I do this if it is an entire it's an entire thing that requires more than one value, and so the software goes like, well, okay, so if I have this stuff about, let's say for example that you have a downshift protection that you can set it up. Let's say for example that the value that tells you, well, okay, so refuse but give me the downshift in case I get, I don't know, like, you know, within 500 RPM over the limiter. So it's like, okay, you know, stop me from doing that, but, you know, give me a little bit of range. And, you know, so, you know, I could add something like this. So at that point, it makes sense to have this as a separate section. At that point, I don't need to put a version, because if this is here, it's going to be used. If it's not here, it will just use the default parameters. So, okay, so now really go to the code. So, as you know, what I'm doing is working on this DRS stuff. And I wrote the code to send the DRS zone from the server to the client. So to recap, what the DRS zone is a section of a track where the DRS is allowed to be used. And you can have more than one zone on each track. And when you're using a single player, the DRS zone is using the one that is loaded from the track. When you are in multiplayer, the server has the possibility to override that DRS zone and write its own DRS zone. Now, in order to do this, we need a way to easily create DRS zone. Now, one manual way is to start the software and read the values for, say that we want to do it in Magione, and read the value of the what is called a normalized spline position. What it is a number from 0 to 1, where 0 is your finish line, so where your lap is starting, and 1 ends right there. So it's basically identify where you are in the lap. And in 1.3, I don't remember if it's already in 1.2, but in the car physics, you have these values called NCP, which is saying what's my normalized position. I wonder why it's called NCP. Should be NSP. Okay, so so now it's moving, so it's saying 0.0.9 blah blah blah, and now why we care about this? Why we care about this? Because that's exactly how we set up the DRS zones. So in tracks, SPA, which is the only one that is got, if I open DRS zone, the DRS zone file is just a series of these zones, and we say, okay, it starts at this position on the spline, it ends at this position. Now, as you can imagine, it's not ideal really to drive and try to remember and blah 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 blah. So it doesn't work like that. So want to do something a little bit more user-friendly, not only for you but also for me, because I'm gonna be the one to do all the tracks DRS zone for the 1.3. So I need to work smarter. So what we need is a small simple app that will do this for us. So let's start by adding a new app, and we call it for DRS zone. Okay, let's make it bigger so hopefully you can follow. Let me check if is the videos okay. I hope it's okay. Let me see if it's complaining. The health is good. Cool. Okay, let's move on. Never remember how to do this shit. So let's take. I will have to show you also this form telemetry, a new real-time telemetry. So what we have here is okay. So let's say that for this one we are gonna need probably a car. Is called DRS zones. Okay. So this is an app that does nothing. So let's just set to the basic things of putting a title. size. This is something that I learned from. Is this a virtual function? Yeah, it is a virtual function. When you are in the constructor, virtual functions are not resolved, of course. So ReSharper for C++ that I used for a couple of days just to test it, and I didn't like it, so I took it off. But it was suggesting to actually have this fully qualified when used in the constructor. Usual fun with the C++. Declaration, and then we have, this is a pointer. We don't have this, so we need to include it. And we need to initialize car. Okay. And then we need to create this. Form their zones. Studio. Okay. So now we should have an app that does nothing somewhere. So lucky I went with a mouse and I found it straight away. So okay, so let's move it somewhere here so we can see it. Cool. Okay. So what we need in this, the first thing we need is a label. With the normalized point position. Okay. So initialize this here. Label. Now, what's a connector label is normalized position. GUI. Okay. What it is basically I give to this an address to a float somewhere, and it's automatically updating with the value of that float. So there you go. I give this to it, okay, and we put it need to add this, I think. Okay, so set position, we put it somewhere. We really don't care that much where we put it. size is a little bit more interesting. Let's start with this and see how it goes. Add control. The IntelliSense is not really working that well. Okay, because as usual. Again, the joys of C++. Okay, that's why the IntelliSense was broken. So this should auto-magically work and should give me this thing. Yep, it's giving me this end speed and it moves. Okay, I want it a little bit bigger now, and let me remember how to do a font. Nope. Who's got fonts? GPU profiler up. I should actually, I can use the, I don't give it. Do I have that? Do I have something to say how big the font is? I don't. Which would be interesting to have, I think. Instead of creating a new font. My God, why is string? It would be interesting to have something like font scale, and when this goes to render, okay, all this one became font scale. Those are the only places where I use it, so it should be good enough. And I think this one is just using the control to render it. So now here should be able to say label font scale 2 and get a bigger one. Of course, it's rebuilding the entire universe. Because that control was used by the entire user interface, so it's gonna rebuild lots of stuff. I really hope that Jonathan Blow experiment with this new language dedicated to game programming is successful. I can't wait to try it, honestly. I think he's getting it right from so many point of views, and really curious to try it. Although probably once C++ will get modules, all this nonsense with header files and forward declarations and all this stuff will end, hopefully, and compile times will get much better. It's unbelievable how much time you just waste every day just waiting for the thing to compile. Okay, so control, I didn't fix the constructor. What is he complaining about? Unresolved external symbol class basic string blah blah blah. I didn't change it here. Okay. Some part of Assetto Corsa that is not really used at all. I really regret doing that. Okay, finally. And now the thing is bigger. Cool. Okay, let's move on. So, what we need now, I don't need you, I don't need you, I don't need you, I don't need you, I definitely don't need you. Okay, so what we need now is a button to say I have a button, active button. What the fuck is an active button? How do I do a button in other parts of the Assetto Corsa? Do I use control? Or may I, for example? Yeah. How do I make it red manually? It's weird. Okay, so button and to start and stop the RS zones. So that's it, I think. And we put it right under. No, this is the size, you idiot. Right under this. Okay. Okay, we want the button there, does nothing. Okay, and text start zone. Okay, so can I see DRS zones here? DRS zone, current zone. Now this, I cannot do this. So I need to do something else. So I can use a pair of float. Current zone, okay. And then I will have eventually a vector of pair called zones. Okay. Then I can just use the string. Okay. Then I want to see the zone I'm editing, and current zone. Okay, so I should have all the information I need. So what is happening here is, let's create first the label where I will put the thing that is doing at the moment. So LBL current zone, current zone, current zone, current zone, current zone. There's a label, and there's nothing connected to it. Okay, and it's at 150. It's got scale 2. Okay, and then when I do render, let's create a status is recording. Okay. Is zone started. Okay, so in case if we are not starting, what we do. okay, and we put the current, this guy. Okay, and then NA. Okay, so and then so label current zone set text SS string. Okay, if we already started, we put our current zone first, and as a second parameter we put the current car position. Okay. Jesus. Do I have a link? Cool. And we need to call the render of the form. Okay, and something else is now to add the event clicked, add handler, blah blah blah. On control clicked. So if is zone started, we need to finish the zone. And for now we just say is zone start, we'll just say button start zone set text goes back to this, and end zone, and the zone started just switches. Start zone. I didn't put the, when we started the zone, the current zone is equal to car physics state normalize spline position blah 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 first. Very good. And in case we do this, we can then, in theory it's this one, but then we have to do something smarter. Just check quickly that this works. I got 10 minutes left for this. zone. Okay. Cool. Okay, so what is happening is that once this finish, what is happening is that zones, we add current zone. Very good. We don't care about putting it to 0 because it will. Okay, and then we just need a place where we write all our zones, which is going to be another label. Zones. And this label so this label, where this label goes, this label in theory goes all the way on the other side, so at something like 200, and where we started with this one, 40. Okay, and it's a big one. 300. Doesn't really matter because Assetto Corsa doesn't really cut these, and you know we really cannot expect to have more than 2 or 3 maximum. So not a big deal. And what we want is here. Zone in zones. Okay, and we want to put the number of zones, so int C, and we do this down here, and string. Okay, and as usual, we put fixed, set precision 3. And what we do is we add the index. See? Okay, and then the first, and space, comma, space, the second, blah blah. Close this, blah blah. Cool. And then label zones, set text, SS string, and we're almost there. Be able to see the various zone that I add. So start zone, end zone, and there it goes. Font should be smaller. Start another one, and another one. Cool. Okay, so we make this font a little bit smaller, which I can easily do now by just putting 1.5. Okay, and what is left is saving it. So another button save. Which is gonna look very similar to this one. save, and it's gonna be down to almost at the end, like 350. Okay, and but save. Save, and then what we do with this one is but save. Holy shit, I don't know the track name. Oh, maybe I can get to it. Let's see. But save, event clicked, add handler. Okay, so what I do with this, I need the track name. So I need a track. Yeah, track. Yep. Okay. So what is complaining about? Okay. So where do we save? We save. Where do we save? File name. So up to a certain point should be all equal, cioè content tracks, and then the track name, and then something else, because at that point what do you want? Ah, no, you can't do that. Can I? I can. Right, so now if track config get data folder. Hold on, I don't need to do this. So the file name is this plus, is it adding the we call it dearest zones dot candidate dot ini, because we don't want to just brutally go and delete whatever is there, or maybe you won't because it's a button. So if you do it, and no, we don't want, because if a guy is doing this to put it on the server, it really doesn't want to override this track stuff. Okay, so blah blah blah. Okay, so we don't need if anymore, so we need outstream. what we write in this. We write all the, of course, if zones is empty, just do nothing. Okay, so zones. Okay. We need a counter. Okay, so this goes square bracket zone underscore C underscore. Okay, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then out start equal z first, out and equal z second. Just put another line just to make it format better. That should pretty much be it. We can test this and move to quick question. Let's make it real. Let's put the DRS zone where it should be. Which is on the back straight. Whoa! What the hell happened there? That was really bad. Okay, so did this save? I would like to have. I think it's saved, but it didn't give me any message at all, which is bad. Let's check that actually saved that. Didn't save. Why is it up there? I should add. Okay, I should add a couple of things. So I should add data. Weird, because this should already have data. It doesn't. Okay. Such a stupid name. Okay. And then what I want to do is do car console. No, car sim system message add message, nothing to save. DRS zones. Okay, and of course I need to add a couple of includes. Okay, and when we save, blah, okay. Save it. There's zones. Never remember if which one goes up and which one goes down, but just to put the file name, so at least we get some sort of feedback. Okay, let's try again. I wonder what was that huge glitch there. See if it does it again. Save. Okay, save in zone. There's a candidate.ini. Cool. And we go and check that is actually there. We don't need this one. Data. Here is zone candidate. Cool. Okay. Very, very good. So, last check of the day is to see that it's actually working in the server. So I get this file and I bring it to the server folder. Where, of course, I don't have Magione, but I create it. Magione. Data and DRS zones. I remove the candidate. Okay, so now if I go in the server and I choose Magione, okay, and I choose a car. Blah 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 blah. Entry list. Lotus. Exos. S1. Okay. And then in my race is active and I ask for this. Okay. Don't remember if the client is already committing the DRS zones. Yes. Okay. So let's hope it works. Start server, start client, back. Great. What's wrong with this? Handshake failed. This doesn't start? Of course. Okay. Start server. Okay, server is up. The car legal when there is an entry list already should be automatic. Please give me the Exos. Yep, I got the Exos. DRS doesn't turn on. So that's all good news. Still doesn't turn on. So should get green now. Yeah, it works. So just to prove the point that it works. Just to prove the point that it works. Right now, because the file is still called candidate on Magione, if I'm not running on the server, if I'm doing a single player, there is no DRS zone in Magione. So just to prove that that information is really coming from the server. And in fact, I can open the DRS straight away. The information in single player is just not there. So that's cool, that works. Yeah, so my plan for the rest of the day is to finish the system to have the DRS to activate during the race, given a gap with the guy in front of you. And I really hope that for next Sunday stream, I will be able to show you a complete race with DRS working, and to see how it's interacting with the AI and so on. So we go into a very quick couple of questions because, as usual, this is already very long. Yeah, saying, you know, it should be .ini .candidate. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. You're right. I like the fact that it's candidate .ini because then it's easier to open it straight away with the text editor. So no, Emanuele, non c'è per ora nessun piano di spettatore. What about camber 2 angles for solid axis? Yeah, we talked about that with Aris when we were doing the GTA, which is the only car that's got that. And yeah, and we decided to leave it out for the moment because we didn't need it for the GTA. It seems that for the GTA, the only way to do that is to bang on the hub and bend it. So, but yeah, there is no reason why they shouldn't be there. So, Stefano, is it possible that joining the same server more time you got different grip? No, it shouldn't be. Definitely not. Other than new stuff you're working on, some stuff that didn't make it to the will be included in 1.3. Some stuff that didn't make it in 1.2. I cannot think about stuff that was not included. 1.3, I think it's well, 1.3 is going to be a very important release, because even if we do a 1.4 very quickly after that, I have a feeling that 1.4 is not gonna have many features, because we need to backport the new the new multi-threaded renderer that one of the guys working with us, Alessandro Piva, wrote for the console, and he brought huge gains on the console. I don't know how that's gonna translate to the PC, but we definitely need to backport that into the PC version. And of course, on the console, there are lots of things that don't need to work, like, you know, the user interface, all the debug stuff, and on the PC they need to work. So I'm afraid that probably 1.4 is gonna have just one new feature, and it's gonna be the new renderer. Will you code additional DRR rules like all using it number time per race? I didn't think about that, but I think it's an interesting possibility. My idea was to code the usual F1 things, like how many laps from the start you need to have before the DRS becomes active, and the gap. But actually, this thing about using it a certain amount of time could be interesting. The soft lock will be possible to turn through some inifal. Yes, I still don't know if you are going to have to turn it on, or if you'll have to turn it off. In other words, I still don't know what the default is going to be. And ping filters, it's all UI, so it's all launcher, so as usual, the problem is time. It's definitely we are doing something where you can see if the server has locked ABS or clutch and things like that in the launcher. So I don't know, probably the reason why when you go back is faster is probably because of the track getting, you know, more grip as you get more laps. I don't know. Wasn't the fastest lap column change in the plans for one? No, that's just in your plans, not in mine. But one thing I would like to do, I would like to have in the new real-time app, I would like to have blue color for, you know, back markers. That would be interesting. Any automatic custom content download system? Definitely not. Absolutely not. I hope Camber and 2 are coming some point too. Yeah. Is the new render on DirectX 11? Yes, it is. Are you planning to improve the pit limiter with key binding and penalties? No, absolutely not. Yeah, you can enter a full speed, but I think it's also putting your brakes on, so it's, yeah, it's not ideal, but we'll see. Ah, you mean, okay, Leonardo, you mean pin block on the server. The problem is that the server doesn't know that until you are connected, so yeah, it will have to sort of give you a message, sorry. And the problem is going to be, I don't know what is going to happen if that guy then try to go back to the server and so on, so you can have, well, until he give up. Probably it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that ping block server side, you know, it's, again, it's very useful. Yes, it's something very, very useful. Yeah, what I would like, the question is, the multiplayer will love if you make the last lap, blah, blah, blah. What I would really like for multiplayer is to get rid of the end of the race. So, it just doesn't end. You just left there on a track and you can do whatever you want, as long, you know, the new race starts. Why is the damage from other drivers not appearing in multiplayer code? Because at the moment the information is not replicated through the server, but you know, it should be. Can you explain what stability control assist does in how realistic? It's very unrealistic. It's very unrealistic because the real one is doing lots of stuff that, you know, it doesn't make sense really to. Well, actually, you know, it would be really cool to work on it. Actually, I also changed the ABS back to the 4. Now it's possible. The car can choose if it wants to use 1 channel, 2 channel, or 4 channel for the ABS. So, but yeah, stability control is not really realistic at all. I mean, it shouldn't be used. It's just that's really a driving aid for people that can't drive. So it's nothing to do with real cars. So shouldn't be on. I don't know. The question was that you could do a ping blocker with the server plugin. I don't know if the server plugin has the ping information, but yeah, it's very simple. So I don't see a reason why you should be moved to the plugin. It's quite easy to do on the server itself. Am I the only one who have lots of thin stripes across the Eau Rouge? Thin stripes. I don't have those. That's the problem. The question is, I understand the reasoning behind ping block, but you know, does that disadvantage a lot of people? That's the huge danger in putting this kind of feature into the server. Is that, you know, if you can imagine, if all the servers start to put this kind of blocks, you know, you really risk to have lots of people that can't race. So that's quite dangerous. Yeah. How is the work on the multi-threaded AI? It's good. It's in at the moment, so it's all good. Once we start testing on many different configurations, we can start to have an idea of what's the difference in performance between multi-thread and not multi-thread. Is there any chance the minor rating goes official? No, because, you know, the idea of the plugin is exactly that, you know, because is to free us from having to worry about these things. So if we make it official, it becomes our problem, and We just don't have the people to get to take care of this stuff. Well, the ABS is basically went back to what it was. You know, it was stupid to change it. So it was really stupid to change it. Yeah, I want to try to do another guy asking, please no ping blocker. You see that, you know, at the end, people have really, you know, one thing that it could be possible to do is to set the minimum value of the ping blocker at something, you know, reasonably high, like 200, like 250. You know, you can set up a ping blocker at 250, but not at 100, because you know that would be the risk to hurt players is a lot. And yes, I would like to do some work on the multiplayer collision to see if I can put inside the same system that I have in Netcar, where as soon there is a contact, the car switches into a physical object and sort of moves out of the way better in a more realistic way compared to what it is now that needs to wait for the message to arrive. I would like to do that. I don't know if I have time. August is already finished, so I don't know. But it's one of those things, luckily, this kind of things is good because it doesn't have any impact on any car data, or, I mean, it's just something that I can do completely by myself. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So it doesn't bring with it a huge amount of work by other people. How is single player pit stop proceeding? It's AI is gonna be my main thing for the next, like, you know, these couple of days, this weekend, all next week. So we will see. La lista dei driver in AC Server Manager per creare server visualizza solo 12 utenti. Non lo so, non ci lavoro io al Server Manager, quindi non so assolutamente cosa dirti. Many cars doesn't have light on a dashboard with the lights on. Yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah, you know, that I don't know what to tell you about this. I noticed the AC server is now streaming much less. Is now streaming much less go. Is now stressing much less, which is something that, you know, I did some work on to reduce. Basically, if you know something about programming, is Go is garbage collected. It means that it's got a system that tracks the objects that you created, and when it realizes that that object is not reachable anymore, it will delete it. And this is something that can create some pause in the server. So I went on and I did this work to reduce the allocations, so not make as many allocations as it did before. Then after a couple of days, Go 1.5 was released that had a completely multi-thread garbage collection that was much better than Go 1.4, and basically made my work almost useless, because, you know, now the system is much better. No answer for penalties on off for each session. One thing that I would like to do is to have a system in race, during the race, that provided you have a good reference lap, is only penalizing you. So let's say, for example, that you go out in a place and your performance timer is telling that you are slower, then the system will not give you a penalty. Of course, you know, this kind of things are tricky because they're very good, because it's a good thing because it can save the frustration of getting a penalty where you actually didn't gain anything. Of course, there is the risk of going against the system. Like, let's say, for example, that you make a mistake somewhere and then you lose like 10 seconds of your lap time, and then you go to the next chicane and you cut it and you get back 8 seconds, and the system will not give you a penalty because it say, well, you're losing anyway. So there is all this. This is the problem with the penalties. It's like so many corner cases to consider. It just blows in complexity and in possible scenarios where it's much easier to say, well, you put your tires out, you get the penalty, you know, live with it. Hi guys from Brazil Simuladores. Hello. Okay guys, last 5 minutes and then I go back to my work. Race finish. I need to look at it. I don't even remember how it works, honestly. So I have to look at it. Is there a new tire model, or how far it is? There isn't a new tire model. Absolutely, there are some possible improvements to this one, like we added a couple of things. One is to have the nonlinear load sensitivity, and the other one is to have a bit more control of what is happening on the other side of the tire curve when the tire loses grip. So it's like there are improvements over the current tire model. There is no desire to have a new tire model. What I would like to do would be to have something. I was working on it actually last weekend, because what I would really like to do will be to go from, let me see if I have a tire that I can load. Okay, so that's our current tire. Like, you know, this is for the front tire. These are the number of parameters that we need to put for each tire. some of these parameters are lookup tables. And what I would really like to do would be to have this one, which is just saying, you know, how big it is and a generic value of softness, which you can sort of read like grape. And maybe another couple of tweaks parameter. In other words, you know, you give the information about the tire and it just spits out all these things, which is very similar to what Aris is already doing to create tires in Assetto Corsa. So in other words, it's got something that starts from real tire and ends up with something like this. And then the advantage of this is that if you use a generator, you can then go and tweak something by hand if you want. But I think this one, if we can make this one work for modders, is going to be a game changer. Because that's exactly what you want. You know, you just want to put the size of the tire, and then just given an idea of you know, relative softness. If one is your typical road tire, modern road tire, then you can, you know, sort of move between different values of that to get to the grip that you want, and all the other parameters will just follow that. And it could really simplify the work a lot. So the tire model will still be using all this stuff here, but all this stuff will basically auto-generated by this input. And of course, if you don't want to use it, you can just use the full one and go for it. And with this, guys, I think I close for today. Give you the appointment for next Sunday. Always at the same time. You know, I'm sorry for the guys living in Europe, but you know, for my, I work much more in the morning. It's like my brain just works in the morning, and doing streams at 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, especially on the Sunday, is really complicated for me. So yeah, it's going to be still in the morning for me next Sunday. So see you next Sunday, and hoping to, and next Sunday is not going to be coding. It's going to be, I will try to show you something interesting from the next version. Okay, see you guys. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Ciao.